Under the sea. Hey folks, welcome to the first review for Voyage to the Sunken City Hearthstone's upcoming expansion due out on April 12th. So actually still almost a month away, but we've got some pretty interesting new mechanics and cards to take a look at in this review. Kicking things off here with Colossal Minions. As you'll see here with Z-Log of the Abyss, this keyword Colossal +4. What that means is Colossal Minions have appendages or body parts that come with them. So Colossal +4 means that for Z-Log here, he's going to summon 4 Z-Log's stalks anytime Z-Log is summoned. This is not a battle cry. If you somehow randomly generate this, if you pull it from your deck, it's been confirmed. This keyword means the stalks are going to come with him. So it's like, in this case, a 5-part minion. The stalks, I'm told, can survive even if Z-Log dies. Once they're on board, they kind of operate as independent minions. But Z-Log himself, if summoned, if played from hand, if pulled from deck, he's going to summon these stalks with him. So it's just this big old pile of stuff, and they're going to have synergies based off one another. As you can see here, Z-Log's stalk reads, at the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. So if there's 4 of those on board, you get kind of this 4-part ping off of Z-Log summons. But also, Z-Log reads, at the start of your turn, increase the damage of Z-Log's stalks by 1. So if you can keep these alive for a while, you can see how much this starts to pump out a ton of damage. And since it's a random enemy, it can also actually go face, as well as clearing your opponent's board. So they're very much incentivized to either deal with all the stocks or deal with Z-Log so that the stocks don't continue to scale upward. And you got this really board-based, high friction, high gravity, high impact kind of scenario. Plus, it's just 5 minions in a single minion, which is a lot. That's a big, crazy board. And, you know, you're going to be able to chip away your opponent's health total or their stuff while also just developing a lot of bodies, which I think make these Colossal Minions really interesting. In fact, we've got another one to look at too. This is Kalake, a new Druid Colossal Minion. Now, this is just Colossal +1, so he's just going to summon 1 Kalake's shell. And you'll note one cool thing about these Colossal Minions, the art actually connects. Like, that's the back of this art, and the stalks on the previous one kind of all look like they would sync up in a row. So the art being all one piece is a cool way to showcase just how colossal and big these are. But Kalake is immune while you control Kalake's shell, so sticky, annoying minions to deal with. Kalake's shell is a taunt with Death Rattle, gain 8 armor. So even immune shenanigans aside, right, this is a couple bodies on board. It's Death Rattle synergies, it's armor gain, it's a really annoying taunt that you have to push through with a nice minion left behind. And again, if you summon this or resummon this, the shell's going to come with it. It's not just a battle cry. You get the shell right away. The shell can survive without Kalake, although in this case, of course, given that he's immune, that might be pretty hard to pull off. So again, I think a big moderate board presence in this one. Moderate, not big. The other one was big. This one's moderate, but still sticky, annoying, some synergies, some taunt stuff, some Death Rattle stuff, and just a big old pile of stats to work through. And again, some awkwardness given the immune here could create some real problems for your opponent if they can't deal with this taunt easily. Kalake gets to take some good trades, be a threat on board himself. So this is Colossal Minion number 2. And here's a synergy card for Colossal Minions that's also going to tie into the keyword for this expansion. This is Ambassador Phelan. He's a 4-mana 4/5 neutral legendary. So Yeti stat line to start. With a battle cry, put 3 Colossal Minions on the bottom of your deck. So basically extending the size of your deck, adding some really high quality legendary cards, as it seems Colossal Minions are going to be. It reminds me a little bit of Envoy Rustwix, putting like some good prime minions in your deck. It has that same sort of vibe. But you might be saying, wait, bottom of the deck? That sucks. I don't want cards on the bottom of my deck. I want to draw them now. Well, that's why we're getting a new keyword. It's called Dredge. And Dredge means you look at the bottom 3 cards of your deck, specifically the bottom 3 cards, and then you choose one of those to bubble up to the top of your deck. So it becomes your next draw. So it's kind of like Discover, except you're not getting the card immediately in hand. You're just moving it to the top of your deck. But as you'll see with our previous card and some other cards revealed, there's going to be good stuff you can put on the bottom of your deck and then use these Dredge cards to find those cards ASAP and get some really powerful plays. So you put 3 awesome Colossal minions on the bottom of your deck with Phelan. You play the Tuskar Trawler here, 2 mana, 2/3 with Battlecry Dredge. Then you're going to be able to get one of those Colossal minions put on top of your deck. If you have any other card draw, you can get it immediately, or just wait until next turn and you draw that really high quality minion. And we're going to see some other things about putting stuff on the bottom of your deck, high quality draws, ways to interact with the bottom of your deck. So Dredge, I think, will be actually a pretty important mechanic. I mean, even outside of the like putting stuff on the bottom of your deck aspect, this is still just a way to predict your next draw or guarantee your next draw, or better, better guarantee your next draw, to make sure that you're finding the sort of thing you want to increase the quality of your draws. A bit like that one Demon Hunter minion we got a while ago who would choose a card to put on top of your deck. Dredge does that at a base level, but then also has these other upsides when you're putting cool stuff down there to get specifically. So here's another Dredge minion, actually, a Warlock minion, the Bloodscent Vilefin, a 4 mana 4/4 Murloc with Battlecry Dredge. If it's a Murloc, change its cost to health instead of mana. So this one might be less about like a specific thing you put down at the bottom, but if you just have a Murloc deck, this could be a way to really tempo out some Murlocs at the cost of health. Because if you get a nice Murloc there, kind of playing it for free from a mana standpoint, allowing you to cheat out more stuff. On top of that, could help you find specific Murlocs. We might get a Murloc Colossal minion, of course, that could have some interaction there as well. So some potential upsides for sure with this one. And with Warlock getting a lot of card draw, just Dredge in general is going to help you find the things you want more consistently. Kind of that soft tracking effect, just to make sure you're hitting the cards that you like. But maybe this is the return of something like a Murloc Warlock with cards like this one. Also, of course, this enables some pain stuff because you are taking that health damage. So cards like Flesh Giant, of course, that's rotating, but any of those sorts of cards in the future for a pain Warlock archetype could be fueled by this, even outside of any super consistent Murloc stuff. So next up here is a new minion type. Naga is coming to Hearthstone. This is the Spell Coiler for Mage. It's a 2 mana 2/3 Naga. Battlecry, if you've cast a spell while holding this, discover a spell. So it seems like Naga are going to have some kind of hand spell-based synergies. I don't know if they're all going to look exactly like this or if you've cast a spell, but we've got one other example of a spell synergy based on Naga. So there's some kind of cross interaction here between doing things with spells or having spells in hand, playing spells while having Naga in hand, and so on. In this case in particular, of course, this is a great way to generate some value. Just play that little 2/3, get that speed bump body on the board while also getting a nice spell in hand. We know cards like this tend to work very well in Hearthstone. Things like Venomous Scorpid have worked nicely. Spell Coiler, frankly, even cheaper. Mage won't have a hard time activating this Battlecry effect as far as I'm concerned. So Spell Coiler feels like the right kind of thing to slot into a bunch of different decks. Now, on the other side of the Naga synergy, this is the Serpent Wig, and my apologies for the kind of lower quality artwork here, is kind of grabbing stuff from all over the place. This is a 1 mana spell for Priest. This will give a minion +1/+1, and if you've played a Naga while holding this, you get to add a Serpent Wig to your hand. So in a Naga synergy deck, you get a lot of extra Serpent Wigs. Could play, essentially 2 of these in a given turn. If you cycle more Naga, of course, could keep it rolling over multiple turns as well. So a little bit of value passed back, essentially, if you're playing Nagas. And having these cheap, repeatable spells seem like the sort of things that might also help you activate your Nagas. So they're definitely fueling each other and these conditionalities in hand if you've got cheap spells and cheap Nagas kind of passing back. So I'm expecting we'll see more spells like this that are based on Naga and more Naga that are based on cheap spell activations as well. You can start to see this world coming together. As we know, playing cheap spells on Hearthstone is often pretty good. I don't know about this one specifically for Priest. We need to see more of that package. But all in all, it seems like the sort of thing that's been very successful in Hearthstone as of late. Next up, also for Mage here, we have the Ajarin Sweeper, a 3 mana 3/4 mech. With Battlecry, put a Sunken Sweeper on the bottom of your deck. And the Sunken Sweeper is a 3 mana 3/4 mech that reads Battlecry, add 3 random mechs to your hand. So you can see here again, putting stuff on the bottom of your deck to help you find it. Now, interestingly, this Sunken Sweeper has a rarity on it, which generally indicates that it is a collectible card. This seems like a pretty powerful value generator for a 3 mana 3/4 for a collectible card. There's a part of me that thinks it's probably not actually a collectible card, but I don't know. I guess stay tuned. If you have any information on that, let me know. You're going to be watching this 30 minutes after I'm recording it. So if you have any details there, let's toss those in. To me, it seems like if you already have a Sunken Sweeper that you can just play, why would you run an Ajaran Sweeper to put an extra one on the bottom of your deck? There's some questions there as well. So curious about that rarity there. Is that actually a collectible card or not? It sort of seems to defeat the purpose of the Ajaran Sweeper, but I don't know. Stay tuned. I'm going to assume it's not actually a collectible card for now and talk more about the Ajaran Sweeper, in which case, again, it's setting up this value chain, this pass back in the future, where you can create lots of extra mechs and maybe even more Ajaran Sweepers to keep the chain rolling for a lot of absurd value. I think that's actually probably going to end up being a little bit too value focused and sacrifice tempo, because the Dredge cards, you're going to have to play a Dredge card to dredge this back up, and then you're still just getting cards in hand. You're not really doing anything super immediate or impactful other than just playing some vanilla stats, essentially, and getting random, often non-synergistic cards added to your hand. So this one seems a little bit more about the flavor than the power level, but I'm still very curious about that rarity gem. Yeah, and I just saw, by the way, following up after I finished recording the rest of these, that is not a collectible card, confirmed. It does not have a rarity gem on the official release from Blizzard. There was a website, IGN or something, I think, who had that gem. Probably got the wrong asset early on, but that is not collectible as expected indeed. Next appears the Shimmering Sunfish for Paladin, a 3-mana 2/5, a beautiful fish, in fact. It's got Battlecry. If you're holding a holy spell, gain Taunt and Divine Shield. And yeah, 3-mana 2/5 Divine Shield Taunt's not bad. Seems like it could be a great disruptive defensive tool, kind of getting in the way of a lot of your opponent's aggressive minion-based boards. But frankly, minions like this can also be great in a more aggressive deck too. Just a big pile of stats to buff for later. So I wouldn't sleep on this as a way to play both aggressively and defensively. And if you've got things like holy buff spells in hand, that's going to fit really nicely into the Divine Shield and Taunt package as well. So Shimmering Sunfish certainly seems like a high utility card across a couple different styles of play. Next up, here's the Bootstrap Sunkeneer. It's a 5-mana 4/4 pirate for Rogue. And it reads, combo, put an enemy minion on the bottom of your opponent's deck. So this is actually a pretty crazy Kidnapper / Sap style effect, because unlike Sap or Kidnapper, which puts it back in your opponent's hand, this is putting it all the way back at the bottom of their deck. So it's actually even harder for them to replay any sort of key card that is removed with this one. So in many cases, it functions like just destroy your opponent's minion, because rarely are they going to be drawing all the way back to the bottom of their deck. Now, obviously, in a world where Dredge becomes a super popular keyword, they might be able to find that minion again, but that still offers some advantages to you from a tempo standpoint, of course, forcing them to replay that card, respend that mana, and maybe have some interruptions and delays in the meantime. Now, that said, cards like Kidnapper were awfully slow. That tax over a card like Sap was never really worth it. That was a 6-mana card, of course. 5 mana is a little bit better of a sweet spot, but I still worry this might just be a little bit too slow to really make a difference. We have just harder, faster removal for Rogue with things like SI7 Assassin that comes down for 0 mana often, has the same stat line, and just removes the minion altogether. So in some cases, that's worse against like death rattles or specific effects, because sap effects, or in this case, a deck sap effect, does effectively silence any death rattles as well. You don't have to deal with that. So there might be specific metas where this has that upside and it makes it worth it. But in most cases, I think this will be just a little bit too slow as a hard removal option. Rogue tends to have faster, sneakier ways to do the same sorts of things. And then finally here we have Blade Master Okani. This is a super sick card. He's a 4-mana 2/6. And he reads, Battlecry, secretly choose to counter the next minion or spell your opponent plays while this is alive. So this is kind of like a counter spell that lives on board, and you can use it to either counter a minion, which I guess means they try to play the minion and the mana gets spent and it whiffs, just like with a counter-spelled spell, or it works like a counter spell for a spell. So a really interesting tech card to deal with your opponent's stuff. If you think they're about to play Kazakusan, slam Blade Master Okani. If they commit that 8 mana to Kazakusan, guess what? It gets countered. Their game plan is ruined. That's a dream for a lot of people in current day Hearthstone. So there's some neatness here with the secret aspect. You know, maybe they just plan to play around the Kazakhstan removal and play some other cheap tiny minion in the meantime if they have one. But whoops, you actually countered a spell and they lose their lightning bloom the turn they want to play Kazakhstan, so on and so forth. You could still disrupt them in a lot of ways. That's probably not the best example, but you get the idea. The mind games aspect here is really cool, and a return of the secret keyword we've seen once before in Druid. I mean, secretly keyword we've seen in Druid a long time ago, but I think this is a really, really cool tech card, cool execution. It's going to have some mind games, some neat strategy to it, some key timings for it, and a lot of disruption, all of which are things I welcome in Hearthstone, and I think actually has some potential too to slot in as a tech card. A lot of decks can afford 1 or 2 spots there to disrupt their opponent's stuff, and although this is an unreliable way to do it, it's just an extra way to do it, which sometimes that goes far enough. Zlog of the Abyss is a 5-star card. It's a lot of stuff on board. Ambassador Phelan is a 3-star card. Tuskar Trawler is a 3-star card. Spell Coiler is a 4-star card. Serpent Wig is a 2-star card. Kalake is a 4-star card. Bloodscent Vilefin is a 3-star card. Ajaran Sweeper is a 2-star card. Shimmering Sunfish is a 4-star card. Bootstrap Sunken Ear is a 2-star card. And Blade Master Okani is a 4-star card. And I think that wraps it up for the first day of Sunken City reveals. I think this is a really fun theme. I was worried about the underwater stuff, but these feel unique and cool. And Naga, it's exciting. Colossal minions seem insanely cool. So definitely excited to see more of this stuff. Share your thoughts on all these cards in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. And until next time, game on.